The best perspective exercise is right in front of you, and I ignored it for years. It will fundamentally change how you understand space, and that is the POV drawing. After doing this exercise over and over again, it's obvious why it's so helpful, and that's why perspective masters like Paul Heaston, Kim Jung-gi, Rembert Montauld, and Dong Ho Kim do this all the time. Just look around you and try to identify the planes and angles you're seeing without any of the guardrails of linear perspective theory, because reality reveals one hard truth about perspective. It is not separated into simple scenes of 1 point, 2 point, 3 point. In reality, all these vanishing points blend organically into one image. Take this image, for example. That's actually 1 point, right? Well, if you zoom out a little bit, it's actually 2 point. But if you zoom out a little bit more, it's actually 3 point. But if you zoom out a little bit more, it's actually 5 point. In reality, angles are always changing based on their proximity to our view. Let me give you another example. Take a row of boxes like this, and let's draw what that might look like. In 1 point perspective, you'd say we should draw all the boxes as squares and then converge the receding planes back to a single point, and there's your perspective. Now that's correct 1 point perspective, but that's just not how reality would look, because the box right in front of you is much closer than the box on your far left. And therefore, there's no way that the farmost left box should be as big as the center box. That just doesn't make sense. In reality, perspective might look something like this. The POV drawing forces you to understand reality as it is instead of memorizing convenient lies. So let me tell you a few simple patterns you're going to find when you draw from your point of view. Number 1, the point at which you can no longer see above or below an object is the horizon line. Look around your room. Right now you might see the top of a shelf, the bottom of a cupboard. Find the shelf around you that almost disappears or is flat with your eye line. This means that shelf and your eyes are in the exact same vertical height in space. This is your horizon line. You can use this as a fantastic starting point for your POV drawing, because that point is also going to be the center of your frame. If you're looking straight ahead, you'll notice that obviously you see just as much above you as you see below you. So when you're drawing your POV drawing, start in the center of your page, find an object that you're the same height as. That's where you can begin your drawing. Guys, I'll be real. POV drawing can be quite advanced, especially if you haven't practiced the basics of perspective or form construction. If that's you, then you might like the sponsor of this video, ArtWad. A longtime partner of this channel, ArtWad is the place to go if you want to brush up on your fundamentals and learn how to draw from your imagination. This is because each and every class is taught from the ground up using form as its foundation. This means you're not just taught how to draw images you see, you're taught how to think about these images so that you can draw them from your imagination. This applies to every topic ArtWad teaches, from anatomy to clothing and even architecture. If you're tired of struggling to figure out what to do or where to study, then ArtWad is the solution, because each and every class has been tailored in order of difficulty through a structure called roadmaps. That means you're learning what you need to exactly when you need it. Following this structure, I've seen a lot of improvement, and I've seen students improve as well. So ArtWad's here if you need it, and right now they're offering a 30% discount if you sign up for the premium plan using my link in the description. Thank you to ArtWad for sponsoring this video, and happy drawing. Here's a second pattern. Objects that are parallel to the ground, like chairs and desks, will have edges that get bigger when they come closer to you and thinner as they go away. Think about this logically. If you have one box close to you and the other box far away, of course the box close to you will look bigger and you'll see more of the top. These lines will always meet at a point exactly on the horizon line. Take a look at this cabinet. When it's level with the camera, you can't see it. But as the camera, or my point of view, rises just slightly, notice how the top plane emerges as well, except it's very distorted because they're converging to a point very much close to it. But as the camera goes higher and higher up, notice how the convergence follows, and as a result, the angles of the plane become more and more open. And this brings us to a third pattern you'll notice. Planes gradually become wider the further they move from the horizon line. As they go below the horizon line, the top plane opens up, but as they go above the horizon line, the bottom plane opens up. Now recognize that this pattern happens to every object regardless of its orientation. You can have boxes that are slightly rotated, but they will still fall on the horizon line, just at two separate points instead of one. If what you're drawing doesn't feel like it's flat on the ground, it's because the planes are not converging to the horizon line. Take this chair, for example. Notice how the seat doesn't feel like it's actually in perspective. Well, if we just adjusted the angle, you would see that now it feels correct. Now, this demonstration actually brings us to a fantastic exercise you can do to understand intuitive space, and that is stacking and queuing. Introduced to me by Zeph Draws, this exercise teaches you to think through the ideas we just covered and get used to how flat planes look based on their proximity and angle to us. This exercise can start off relatively simple. All you should focus on is simply drawing a series of lined up boxes as they cross your center of vision and your horizon line. Experiment with how angles naturally change even though all the boxes are parallel, because angles change based on how they react to us. Now, this is relatively simple, but the real learning happens when you push beyond the perspectives you already understand. For example, ask yourself what it would look like if instead of 3 boxes, there were 20. You'd see a lot more convergence on the further edges. But why stop there? You've gone left to right. What if you drew boxes coming towards you? How would that affect how much of the planes you see, their angles? Why not try 5 boxes going up over your head and 5 boxes going down below to your feet? By practicing perspective like this, you learn to think of space organically by comparing angles relative to one another. You discover the guidelines of perspective as you build your scene out, and this gives you an innate, intuitive understanding of space. Rather than thinking, hey, I need to start with my vanishing points and draw a grid, you create an object, and then you let that dictate how your grid needs to develop. This is much more aligned with how reality itself looks. Perspective is not this set thing. It is constantly in flux based on the angle you're looking at something from. And that's why you always see pros practicing these exercises. So here are 3 tips to help you get the most from these exercises. The first is always ask yourself, where is the viewer? Your practice is only as good as the quality of your thinking. And when you're drawing in perspective, you have to be aware of what you are trying to convey. You cannot do that if you don't know where you are in the scene. So that's why I always start my perspective drawings with an overhead or side view of what I actually want to convey, because this side view gives you a lot of information about what you might see in your scene. For example, if the boxes are below my eye line here, I know that my POV needs to look something like this. Whereas if I move the boxes above my head, then they might look something like this. You know you're starting to understand perspective freely when you can draw a scene and then draw what it might look like. Otherwise, you will always be a slave to a perspective grid. Tip number 2 is start where you are comfortable and keep pushing the perspective until you're in discomfort. You will only learn when you're in that zone of discomfort, but to discover that, you start from where you know. In a POV drawing, I usually begin by starting at my eye level at an object far away from me that I know is the same height as my eye, because Objects far away and in the center of your vision tend to be the most like one-point perspective, and they also tend to be quite flat. The difficulty happens when you draw objects close to you because they have a lot of distortion. So don't start there. Start where it's simple and gradually build little bits of detail until you arrive at the complex thing. In stacking and queuing, for example, start with an undistorted view and then just keep building out your scene until you're forced to work in the confusing perspective. But by that point, you'll have enough structure from your other boxes that you'll generally know how your distorted box is supposed to look. The third tip is to do these exercises whether you have 10 minutes or an hour. It's not important how your drawings turn out. It's important that you do these exercises as often as possible. Do not think you have to make impressive POV drawings like this. I get this result once every 50 drawings. Most of the time, I'm drawing a quick POV drawing because I'm in the Uber and I want to capture the sense of space. I am in my kitchen and I have 20 minutes before dinner. Treat these as exercises, not pieces, and you will learn a lot faster. You handle the quantity and the quality will handle itself. And finally, always think rule of 100. Perspective is the most misunderstood and confusing element of drawing because all it is reality itself. So give yourself enough time with this exercise to actually learn from it. Don't judge yourself, your results, or the exercise before you've done 100 repetitions. And I promise you, once you have done 100 repetitions, you will know that this exercise works. If you want help understanding this topic better, I've got this video for you, which is going to mean I only have 10 seconds left to talk. So watch this video if you want more tips on POV drawing, specifically shapes. Sign up for my class September 6th to November, or you can't sign up yet, but you can sign up to put your email in the link in the description if you want to join my class. Oh, this is so much pressure. And thanks for watching. Happy drawing. Thank you, Artwad. I'll see you. Bye.